All right, last video here for this lesson. So this is sum of a geometric series, formula, and application. There's really only one application problem. It's the one I'm actually using to kind of teach it, right? But using this formula. So sum of a geometric series is, so if you have, let's say you have one of those things where it's 2, and then it's 8, and then it's 32, right? Let me write this so it actually shows up. 2, 8, 32, and then 128, and then what was it, 512 or something like that, right? So kind of like one of the last problems we just did, right? So when you have something like that, right, what these numbers tell you is these numbers tell you the value of the number at that point in the sequence, right? So you've got, this is your a to the 1, this is your a2, a3, a4, blah, 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 right? What a sum is they want to know, like, add these all together, like how many do you have? So if you think about that very first problem we had, what we don't want to just know how many people posted on a certain round. We want to know how many people have posted all together. And so that's where this sum becomes a relatively popular thing. They give us this formula here. It's S to the N equals your initial term minus basically your a to the 1 times r to the n. Now this is different from finding that nth term, right? This is okay. So we don't have minus 1 up here. It's just a to the 1 times r to the n, and then it's over 1 minus r. All right, and so unfortunately, guys, you're just going to have to remember this, right? And so they list it twice, saying if they give you this or this, right? So you can make it work no matter basically what. It's just how you make it work is different, right? Different kinds of applications. So let's just kind of dive into these and see if we can figure this out. So it says refer to the beginning of the lesson, the pattern continues. So that was the rock band one, right? How many total people posted the link after the 8th round, all right? So it said 5 people reposted a link on the first round, that was that. And there are 8 rounds of reposts, right? So pretty much all you're going to do is you're going to use this formula. You're going to say S of n, so that's going to tell me the sum. My a to the 1 is 5, minus 5 times my r is 5, and it's to the n power, which is 8, right? So over this, and then it's over 1 minus my r, and my r is 5. And so when you first see this, you're like, well, wait a minute, I'm getting a negative number on the bottom. But then if you look at the top, you're going to hopefully see you're going to get a negative 1 here. So pretty much in this one, it's basically 5 minus 5 to the 9th power, right? This becomes 5 to the 9th. So when I do these, what I do is I always figure out that second term in the numerator first. So I'm going to do the one that I have circled first. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this first, okay? And so let's see here, make sure I'm in. Okay, I'm going to turn my calculator, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that 5 to the 9th. I'm going to go 5 to the 9th, which is 1,953,125, right? So I'm going to make that negative, which you can do, and then I'm going to add it to 5. And so I get negative 1,953,120, and then you divide it by negative 4. And when I do that, I get a total of 488,280 people reposted. Okay, so you're using, they're giving you what you need to use here. Basically, it's pretty much just plug and chug, and it's just how you want to go about that. Now, a real quick thing here. Some of you might notice that, hey, you could rewrite this, right, as a to the 1. You can factor out an a to the 1 and just make this 1 over. And this might look a little better to some of you. It's still going to require you to do some kind of backward solving, doing this first and stuff, unless you're like really good with like parentheses and putting everything in your calculator that way. But my experience is just do this first, and so I just use this one. I think that's easier. All right, so let's do the couple examples they give us. So this first one, find the sum of the geometric series. Well, they're giving us exactly what they gave us last time. So we have this S of n is equal to a to the 1 minus a to the 1 r to the n over 1 minus r. Okay, and I'm just going to check to make sure I wrote that right, and it looks like I did. Okay, so I'm going to use this. So this is what I have here. I have a to the 1 is 2, so I'm going 2 minus 2 times, and then I have r. My r is 3, and then I've got 10, right? So, and then over 1 minus r, so I have 1 minus 3. Okay, so I'm going to have 2 minus 2 times, and then I'm going to figure out what 3 to the 10th power is. So 3 to the 10th is 59,049, right? So 59,049 over negative 2. Okay, so now I'm going to figure that whole thing out. So I'm going to go 2 times 59,049 is that 118,098. I'm going to make that negative, and I'm going to add it to 2. So negative 118,096 divided by negative 2 gives me 59,048. Okay, so in this one, it's kind of ironic that it's like 1 less than this, right? Kind of trippy, right? So so that's how this one works out. Okay, so this one, let's try it, and let's see what we get. So we have our formula, right? And so let's start plugging in our numbers. So we got 2,000 minus. So this one, right? We are going to have to do a little figuring out here, right? So we don't know. We know my a to the nth term is 125, right? And so now what I need to figure out with this one before I just start slamming ahead, which I was ready to do, is I need to figure out how many times am I doing that. Well, first of all, hopefully you realize that you're multiplying. Your r is a 1/2, right? So if you're starting with a to the 1 is 2,000, right? So that means I'm going to multiply it by 1/2, right? And so my second term is going to be 1,000, right? I'm going to multiply that by 1/2. My third term is going to be 500. Multiply that by 1/2. My fourth term is 250. 250 times 1/2, and then you get 125. And that's the one we're looking for. So the reason I had to do this is because now I know that n is equal to 5. So now I can put this in my equation. So I have my s of n is equal to my a of 1 is 2,000 minus 2,000 times my r, which is 1/2 to the 5th power, all over 1 minus 1/2. All right? And so for this one, to make it simple, I am going to change that bottom number to a decimal. I usually don't, but for this one, I am going to. I am going to take 0.5 and I am going to raise it to the 5th power. All right? And that gives me a small number. I'm going to multiply it by 2,000. Okay, and that gives me 62.5. So make that negative. I'm going to add it to 2,000. I'm going to write that 62.5 over here because I'm thinking about something here. All right, and then we divide it by 0.5. And that gives me 38. Let me just write this down, 62.5. And that gives me 38.75. Okay, so so hopefully that's kind of making some sense to you. Okay, so when you add all of these together, right, and you could see if I added all these together, just that's kind of what I would get, right? You get 3,000, 3,500, 3,750, 3,875, right? But this is a much more direct way to do it. And yeah, all right. So I lied. We do have one more video left, and I will see you at that one.